Very good. We're ready. Thank you. Before I call the meeting to order, I want to announce that some committee members, staff, and the public are attending remotely via Zoom as well as on-site. All participants joining by phone should please mute their phones when not speaking to avoid background noise. During the meeting, please make sure that you announce yourself by name and title every time you speak so the public that is observing knows who is speaking. When speaking, be sure to speak directly into a microphone so that all comments are heard and the record of the meeting is accurate. This is critical given the number of remote participants and is current guidance from the Kansas Attorney General. The public is allowed to participate by Zoom or submit comments by email prior to the meeting, and those comments will be included in the record of this meeting. The public may also indicate their intent to provide remote public comment by contacting the clerk's office by noon the day of the meeting. The public also will have an opportunity to provide brief comments either by telephone or via Zoom from the fifth floor conference room of the municipal office building. Public comment will be allowed during each agenda item, and comments should be limited to the item at hand and per the commission rules of procedure should not include any rude or derogatory remarks, reflections as to integrity, abusive comments, and statements as to motives and or personalities. I will now call the meeting of the Public Works and Safety Standing Committee for Monday, March 24th, 2025 to order. Would ask the clerk to please call roll.
Roll call. Gonzalez. Here. Lopez.
Here.
Burns.
Here.
Stites. Kane. Burrows.
Aye, I'm here. Thank you. Our first order of business tonight, committee, is the approval of minutes from our March 25th, 2024 meeting. We do have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Roll call. Gonzalez. Lopez.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Stites. Kane. Burrows.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. I do want to welcome Ms. Gonzalez from the BPU to join us this evening. Thank you for being here. It's nice to have our leadership partners at the table on this committee. With that, we'll move right into item number 1. And this item is a action item, if I remember correctly. And it is a resolution ratifying the per diem rates of the Wyandotte County Sheriff. I believe we have Sheriff Soptic here this evening. Sheriff, if you'd care to come up to the table and microphone, please make yourself at home with us. We consider you one of us, so please join us, and we're stand at your ready.
All righty. Well, thank you all. This is pretty short and sweet. As I'm sure you all know, we get reimbursed from some of the folks that we house in our facility. And one of those entities that reimburses us is Kansas Department of Corrections. So every year they send a letter essentially telling us what the max rate is that we can charge them per day. And for as long as I can remember, it's been a pretty simple, I send a memo back saying we're requesting the max. And they send something back saying, great, good to go. They've had a change in their process. Where now they're looking for the governing boards of those jurisdictions to actually pass a resolution or an ordinance saying that that's the rate we want. I don't know why it's changed, but that's the new process. So here we are. The old rate was $95.17 a day. The new max rate is $107.02 a day. So not a huge increase, but we'll take every dime that we have coming to us. And so that's why I'm here.
Committee, any questions?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the new per diem rate of $107. And what was the amount, Mr. King? Thank you. Clerk, did you get that amount?
Yes.
Please call roll.
Roll call. Gonzalez. Lopez.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Stites. Kane. Burrows.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, Sheriff. Appreciate it very much. Committee, we do have 6 more action items. This will take us to item number 2. It's revised initiatives for the state of Kansas opioid funding. Many of us are familiar with that. I will recognize Shelley Knieven, our finance department, to make the presentation, and this will be for information only. Please, Ms. Knieven.
Yes, thank you very much. So we wanted to give you a quick update. We had come before you all and shared what the proposed uses of the funds were for 2025. And a couple of the department areas had requested modifications to their initiatives. And since we had brought it to you, we wanted you to be aware of the changes that we're fully supportive of and are completely within the eligibility. Just a quick reminder, with the opioid money, we received our first settlement in 2021. This is through the state of Kansas, through the Attorney General's office, and it relates to pharmaceutical companies that have entered into settlement agreements really across the country. In terms of the MOU that we signed on to, it governs the use of the money. So one of our fiduciary responsibilities is to make sure that the uses are eligible. We have to use the funding for victims and education to prevent drug abuse. It can go beyond just opioids, but drug abuse. But we cannot use the funds on the supplier or distribution side. That was just part of the MOU. So that did really tailor some of our recommended initiatives. We each get, Wyandotte County and the city of Kansas City, Kansas, each receive separate disbursements, as did Bonner and Edwardsville. We'll continue to receive those through 2038, but the amounts vary greatly each year. And so this year was the first year that we had proposed allocating some of the funds. This is just a recap of what was shared with you before of how much funding we've received in total, about 1.9 million. Our amounts that we had proposed to be used totaled 1.1. We very intentionally did not appropriate all of the funds because as I said, the amounts vary year to year. And so we wanted to make sure we had funding to continue efforts for a second year, particularly if the data shows that it's been very successful. So we didn't want to appropriate all the funds, but that would come back to you for next year. So originally for community corrections, if Phil, you want to go ahead and talk through, we've highlighted the changes, but talk through the original and the modified.
Good evening. I'm Phil Lockman, Director of Community Corrections. Ours is just a simple, we're just moving money from what was going to be training into actual treatment, adding more money into treatment for the offenders in our behavioral health courts and our drug courts and our offender population. Just moving money, zero sum.
Questions, committee of our conferee? What is the 40,000? What is the training?
Well, one of the hard things, when you deal with human beings is trying to get everybody to be on the same page and move in the same direction. You're talking about specialty courts, behavioral health and drug courts. It's a very unique animal in that you've got about 15 plus partners that are district attorneys, public defender attorneys, judges, law enforcement, corrections, all trying to get on the same page and look at using best practices. And one of the things we'd like to do this year is to take as many people as we can to the National Drug Court Conference, which is a state-of-the-art presentations on best practices and what really works with opiate offenders and other offenders in their treatment modalities, as well as the corrections and law enforcement and justice piece of it, so that we can get everybody even more on the same page and looking at how we do things so that we can make sure that we're getting the best outcomes we can out of the offenders we supervise.
Committee, any questions in reference to the $40,000 training? Okay, Commissioner Burns.
And where's that conference at?
I think this year it's in Kissimmee, Florida.
Oh, are you going?
No, I'm not. I don't go to those.
I just want you to know that's pronounced Kissimmee.
I didn't know that.
Any other questions or comments? Seeing none.
Okay, thank you. So the next update is actually a little different than what we had up here because there was still some rethinking and the district attorney will talk through what his request is.
So here's, the only difference is a benefit, which is a $30,000 difference. So rather than, asking for the 236, it'll be now 206,000. Rather than having, a prosecuting attorney, funded by this, we're going to have a coordinator funded as well as a victim advocate. The victim advocate is amazing as well as the coordinator. I'll kind of just piggyback off of Phil. The bottom line is there are a lot of alternative courts that deals with the drugs and mental health and so on and so forth. And to have a coordinator to ultimately coordinate with our prosecutors, our victims advocates, along with our partners across the street will greatly assist in doing that, will lower the funding as well. So the only change that you see, and I printed it out and gave it to everyone so you can just have a clear understanding of what that is the name of the position and the decrease by 30,000. That's all.
Questions, committee? Mr. Dupree, the 236,000, is that an additional request to what was
No.
requested at your budget time?
No, so this 236,000 is the amount from the last time that we were here, directly coming from the opioid funding. And so it's now going to be 206,000 rather than that 236,000. That's all.
Thank you for that clarification. I think it was important to hear from you directly. Thank you.
Indeed.
Ms. Knieven, anything else?
Just a clarification, we've made sure that for all of the initiatives, if we fund personnel, that they understand that the hired employees sign an agreement. We do this with all of our grant funding, that if the funding should end, then that position ends. So we make sure that they're aware of that up front. And then all the other initiatives have remained unchanged, so we weren't going to spend time today. And that was just the quick update.
Great, thank you. Always nice to have additional funds coming in. This lawsuit has been one that reimburses the community for some of the expenses that we've taken on due to the opioid crisis. So I do believe there'll be more monies coming forward in the next few years. Committee, if there's no more questions, that'll take me to the clerk. I'll ask, was there any comments received from the public?
No comments were received.
Thank you. I'll ask clerk if anyone online from the public wishes to make a comment.
No hands are raised.
Thank you. Is there anyone appearing in person who would like to address this item? Let the record show no one stepped forward. Thank you. As I stated, this was for information only, committee. Always nice to see monies coming in. Committee, that takes us to item number 3. Is a resolution authorizing a survey and descriptions of lands to be acquired by the right and power of eminent domain for the location, laying out, construction, reconstruction, expansion, repair, maintenance, and use at the 55th and Metropolitan Intersection Improvement Project. I will now recognize Troy Shaw from our Public Works Department to make comments. Troy, welcome.
Thank you. I'll give a quick overview of what a survey resolution is. We've got 5 of these on here, so try to avoid having to do this every time. Resolution of survey basically is usually a procedural task that we do basically to give us the authorities that go talk to a property owner about acquiring right-of-way easements, whatever we need for a given project. It doesn't commit the city to anything. It doesn't commit us to any funding. It's just purely procedural to allow us to start that conversation for given projects. So with that, I'll turn it over to Chris Finger to talk about specific projects, and he'll go through them one at a time as we go.
Good evening, Chairman, Commissioners. My name is Chris Finger. I'm the City Traffic Engineer with Public Works Engineering. This first resolution survey is for 55th and Metropolitan. We have a KDOT grant to do some signal and intersection improvements there. We're going to add some lanes.
Okay. Would you please pull your microphone up a little closer, please?
Certainly.
Thank you.
Do you need me to repeat?
Questions? Commissioner Lopez.
Okay, so when you say eminent domain, what, Are you need ground from, like, how many feet of ground extra do you need?
We don't know yet. That's what
Oh.
we're at the process of the design phase right now. So basically, and it's not necessarily that we'll do eminent domain. We'll go negotiate with the property owner first, and we may, if it's just an easement, some of them are temporary easements, permanent easements. It's just to have that discussion. If we get to a point where the property owner, a lot of times there's property owners are in California or someplace we can't get a hold of them, and that's how we end up in the eminent domain process. So we don't know yet exactly what we'll need, but at that intersection specifically, sorry, Chris, still in your thunder, we're widening a lane at every side. So you'll go out one lane's worth across the whole intersection.
Yeah, well, they all live here. I know that. And those, okay, I just didn't know like how much of the church ground and how much of, okay.
Yeah, and we don't know. I mean, we can get the plans and figure it out specifically where we're at in the design, but it might be shifted a little bit some way because of the ability to get it from this property owner and not take it from this one. We work the design usually around making the most or limiting the inconvenience for the residents or properties.
Troy, this isn't much different than other projects you've had throughout the community.
No, it's all these are similar, like every project we've done in the past. Correct.
Thank you. Any other committee questions? Thank you, Mr. King. Before we do that, I have to follow the script to ensure that if there's anybody from the public who wishes to speak to this item.
There are no hands raised online.
Thank you. Anybody appearing in person care to speak to this item? Let the record show no one step forward. Mr. Kane, I'd entertain your motion.
Second.
Mr. Stites, you have a question?
I do.
Oops.
So is it typical that we're granting the eminent domain authority before we go and talk to what,
Sorry.
but that before we find out that eminent domain is needed?
Yeah, so we're not, so if we actually go to eminent domain, we will be back to commission with the condemnation ordinance. So this is just allowing us the ability to talk to the property owner. We can't even go talk to the property owner about acquiring an easement or right of way or anything until we get this. Dan, is that correct?
That's correct.
So we're not taking property yet. We're not doing it. This just grants staff or our consultant the ability to go negotiate with the property or even reach out to them to ask, hey, we need 5 foot of temporary easement or whatever that is.
Okay. We have a motion and a second for approval. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Roll call. Gonzalez. Lopez.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Stites. Kane. Burrows.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, committee. And Troy, I believe you're up next also, and this is a resolution for the survey of 98th and State Avenue. This project will upgrade the intersection with turn lanes and ADA improvements. It's in coordination with the Kansas Department of Transportation, I-435 and State Avenue.
And I'll turn this over to Chris Finger.
Good evening, Chris Finger, State Traffic Engineer, Public Works. As the description summarizes, we are looking to do some intersection improvements related to development from home fields and other in the area of 98th and State. We are currently doing some preliminary design throughout the corridor from 98th State down to 94th, but specifically looking at the 98th and State signal that is indicated within some traffic studies as being needed. And we are looking to coordinate that with a upcoming KDOT interchange project that will hopefully be funded this fall.
Committee, any questions? We have two, Commissioner Lopez and then Commissioner Stites.
This kind of falls into the last item, but also this one. So when you ask property owners, when you talk to them, are we going to buy ground from them? Okay, so we're just not.
Yes.
Okay, I got you. All right.
Stites?
Stites District 7. So 98th and State Avenue, as it currently is, 98th north of State Avenue, it used to go straight through, right? And then there's been this discussion that 98th Street could maybe potentially realign with the new 98th Street, if you will, that goes north of State Avenue. This doesn't take into any of that into consideration, or why would we look at, I'll let you say, and then I'll continue on, but
Chris Fingers, this design does take into account certain considerations related to the interchange design project, which could include, I can't speak for KDOT, but from what I've seen, it could include the relocation of 98th Street on the south side of State. So we would look to be constructing a full intersection, four-way signalized intersection, if we were to move forward and get this coordination with. the
and
city.
realigning of 98th, the two 98 streets then would realign.
That
again?
wouldn't be on our bank, but would be happening potentially as part of, and likely as part of KDOT's interchange project related to access and spacing of various driveways and whatnot.
Because I've lived there my whole life on 98th Street south there. And one of the things that I always thought was an issue that there couldn't be a signalized location there is because the relationship to whenever you're getting off of 435 to take eastbound State Avenue, it's as soon as the ramp ends, you'd be right there at a signal.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, you're correct. So where the new 98th Street is, the entrance to Menards and that one. So, yep, we'll build the intersection, we'll design the intersection so that it is built for that connection coming in the future on going, what would it be, southbound? Yep. And then, as Chris noted, the last time we talked to KDOT, I don't know where they're at with their plans or what they're doing, but conceptually, they had showed 98th Street veering around and coming back and tying in there. Because they don't, to your point, they don't like that right next to their
Right.
interchange as well. So they're talking about realigning that. I don't know if that's going to happen, but from our intersection perspective, we're building or we're designing it so that that is the connection point.
Because I think it's a little bit confusing when you say 98th and State, because technically we have
Yes.
two 98th and State Avenues.
Correct. The eastern 98th and State is what we're talking
Right,
about.
so
Correct.
There you go. Okay.
Yes.
That's what I,
At 98th and State to coordinate with the development to the north and the 98th Street going to.
gotcha. Thank you.
Good question.
Committee, any other questions? Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk if there are any questions received from the public.
No comments were received.
Madam Clerk, is there anyone online, public, wish to speak to make a comment?
No hands are raised.
Thank you. Is there anyone appearing in person who would like to address this item? Let the record show no one stepped forward. With that, I'd entertain a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve resolution for the survey of 98th and State Avenue. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Roll call. Gonzalez. Lopez.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Stites. Kane.
Aye.
Burrows.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, committee. And this is resolution for survey for 99th and parallel, not much different than what we've just had. So, Mr. Shaw, Chris, please.
Thank you. Chris Fingers, City Traffic Engineer. This resolution survey for 99th and parallel is to add some ADA compliance and lane improvements to widen the intersection of 99th and parallel. This is related to some needs indicated within traffic studies related to development.
Committee, any question? I believe this is the FIFA sponsor, or this was ADA requirements. Is this the one that
So, yeah, the goal is to do ADA compliant push buttons as well as add some lanes. We had this project designed a few years ago as a requirement of the Freddy's development to come in. And it's been sitting on the shelf until being triggered to be developed by future development, which we feel like we're at that point, we're trying to move forward. We've requested funds from the KC 2026. We're not guaranteed to get those, but we wanted to get this in front of you guys while we're waiting to present more about that or hear more from KC 2026.
And I'll also note on that is as development comes in, like the gas station that was built on the corner there, they contributed, I think, $120,000 or something, 125, and we have it in escrow for us to do that. So as developments come in, we work with them to get that. What would their improvement require? We get that money put in a pot so that once we get enough to do the whole intersection, we'll redo the whole intersection. It's either that or we have to do it a piece at a time, which would just tear stuff up for years and years, and we don't want to do that. So.
Thank you. Commissioner Lopez?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify something because we was talking about it earlier for the meeting, but the ADA where they're walking up from the intersection to the sidewalk, there's like a big red square or a rectangle or whatever with all the little bumps. What is for, I guess, for blind folks with their canes? What exactly is that called right there?
Detectable warning panel.
Detectable what?
Detectable warning panel.
Panel.
Yep.
Okay.
That's what we call them. They're detectable warnings, but yeah.
Because I just sent you an email earlier, so. Okay, thank you.
Seeing no other questions, clerk, is there any comments received from the public?
No comments were received.
Is there anyone online who would care to speak to this?
No hands are raised.
Thank you. Is there anyone here in person who would care to speak to this item? Let the record show no one stepped forward. Thank you, committee. This is an actionable item. I'd entertain a motion.
Second.
That motion and second for the survey of 99th and Parallel. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Roll call. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Stites. Kane. Burrows.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Gentlemen, don't go anywhere. Here we have item number 6 is a resolution survey for 10th and Grandview. This is authorizing upgrades of the intersection located at 10th and Grandview. This project was identified as being able to meet the community's request while doing the needs safety improvements to the intersection. This project is split between ARPA and the 2023 debt funding. Mr. Shaw.
Thank you, Chris Finger, State Traffic Engineer. This project was identified through a request from a commissioner to investigate safety concerns at this intersection. After that investigation, we identified that there were significant safety concerns, and through the analysis, we identified some alternatives, alignments of the intersection to improve safety. And following up on that, there was some public engagement done as part of the Park and Stormwater Improvements Project that requested a parking lot to be added. And so to the park, I should say, for Northrop. And as a result of that, we were able to join with them in some ARPA funds to make this improvement for safety as well as to the park.
Committee, any questions? Commissioner Burns.
Was that commissioner my predecessor?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And for the people that might be watching in my district, could you explain what the improvements you're going to make physically?
It's under design right now. So that intersection right now comes in, and everybody in your district knows, at an angle, a really funky angle, and it's had how many accidents over the last few years? 15 or so?
Yeah, 15 to 18.
Yeah, so it's had quite a few accidents over the last few years, which triggered the commissioner, your predecessor asked, request from the public to look at it. So what we're looking at doing is seeing how we can revise that intersection, or even possibly eliminate that cut through and use the other one, the T intersection, to make the turn out of there instead of having that funky angle through there, which would also allow us, it would improve safety for one, but it would also benefit the park and what's been requested through that, to add a parking lot through there so that people can actually have a safe place to park and utilize that area.
Okay, I have noticed in the past, going east, and if I was going east toward the city hall, people on 10th Street that want to take a left on Grandview, they come right around in a circle like, and gets very close. I don't know if that's part of your accidents.
At
that you've seen.
the intersection, at the
Yeah.
signalized, yeah, that, once we get done, they won't be able to do that.
Good.
Because yes, it is a problem, I agree.
Good.
Has been a challenging intersection for quite a while.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions, committee? Commissioner Lopez.
So right there, are you guys gonna put like some kind of an island or something in the middle?
Possibly. We're looking at it, maybe bulb outs, other devices that'll slow traffic down and help direct them to where they need to go. I think the biggest thing will be taking off the angled leg, to Commissioner Burns's point, to keep people from doing the weird turns that get in front of people. So yeah, there will definitely be other curbs built and areas. Exactly what it's going to look like, I don't know. I talked to this, we'll probably set something up with Commissioner Burns and Senior District once we know a little bit more of the design, just to go over with you and see what your thoughts are.
Comment?
And some of the motorists going east on Grandview to come around the curve, they're going a little too fast too.
Yep, I agree. And that's, yep, that angle, that problem we have with those flat curves is it lets people go really fast around those. So if you sharpen those up and make them 90 degrees, like most intersections are, it really helps with that too. So yes.
I've had to tell my wife to slow down many times.
Thank you. Committee, if there's no more questions, I'll ask the clerk if there was any comments received from the public.
No comments were received.
Thank you. I'll ask clerk if there are anyone online who would care to speak to this item.
No hands are raised.
Thank you. Is there anyone present who would care to speak to this item? Let the record show no one stepped forward. Please, committee, that takes us to entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the survey for 10th and Grandview. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Roll call. Lopez.
Aye.
I'm sorry, Gonzalez. Lopez.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Stites. Kane. Burrows.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Still here, huh?
Last one.
The next item is the resolution for the gravity interceptor from Pump Station 45 to Pump Station 7. This is a consent decree mandated measures for water quality through sewer overflow reduction to address sewer overflows. The proposed project relates to the program. This project is funded by the Sanitary Sewer Enterprise Funds. Turn it over to Shaw. Chris?
All right, Chris Finger. This project, as it's stated, is identified within the consent decree. It is a capacity improvements related project related to I&I, which is inflow and infiltration of stormwater and groundwater into the system, which creates surges during wet weather events and the like. So they're looking to get that under control with this project, among others, such as our CSO projects. Just like the CSO projects, this is identified within the consent decree, like it says.
Ms. Shaw, anything you want to add to that?
No, so this is just what Chris said. It's an SSO project, so I don't know if everybody's familiar. So sanitary sewer overflow versus a CSO, which is combined sewer overflow. So this is basically a capacity of the pipe. So we're putting a bigger pipe in so it can handle these flows without discharging sewage into the ground.
Committee, any questions? Seeing none, I'll ask the clerk. Madam Clerk, is there any comments received from the public?
No comments were received.
Any hands raised online?
No hands are raised.
Thank you. Is there anyone present here in person this evening who would like to speak to this issue? Let the record show no one stepped forward. Thank you. That takes us to the point of a motion.
Second.
We have a motion, and I'm assuming that a motion is to approve the gravity interceptor from Pump Station 45 to Pump Station 7. Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second. Please call roll.
Roll call. Gonzalez. Lopez.
Aye.
Burns.
Aye.
Stites. Kane. Burrows.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Committee, I think that's the last of our Public Works presentations from Mr. Shaw and Chris. Yeah, thank you. Gentlemen, appreciate your patience with us. Committee, that takes us to our next action item, which is a resolution approving the memorandum of understanding with Deffenbaugh Industries Incorporated, DBA Waste Management. And I believe we won't have Troy Shaw this time, I believe. Oh, Troy, you will be joined? Okay. All right. We do have a presentation this evening, so
You young guy.
Good evening, Commissioners. I'm Diana Miles. I'm the Solid Waste Manager, and we are excited today to give you the presentation on the CARTS program. The Solid Waste Committee supports this program, and the Solid Waste team does believe that this is a solution to the challenges that we have in our community, especially at no cost. We would appreciate if you could hold your questions to the end of the presentation, and then we'll be happy to answer your questions. So I'll start off with the challenges that we face in the community. Miscollection, as you are aware, our trash service is manually collected. So what that means is that the driver or the person, the helper of the driver is getting off of the truck several hundred times a day. So as you recall earlier this year with all of the delays and the cancellation, Waste Management decided to do that because of the low temperatures and the safety of their employees. While we delayed or canceled our services, other cities around Kansas City were still able to provide services to their residents because they are a cart-based system. The second thing is blight. This impacts the appearance in our community. The low recycling rate. We are at a 4% recycling rate for KCK. The state average is 33%. And what that tells us is that we are way behind in recycling. The litter and debris. You can see on this photo was taken out in the community. It is not carded, all carded. So it appears that the trash was disturbed by an animal, creating litter, going onto the street, onto the curb, and eventually it can make its way down to the storm drain and cause more issues. So with our top challenges, miscollection, blight, low recycling rate, and litter and debris, we believe that the CARTS program will really help this and will help our challenges that we face. So the CARTS program is a program at no cost to the resident, at no cost to the UG. This is an investment that Waste Management is willing to make to help our community. It is a cart-based system, a 1 96-gallon trash container, a 1 96-gallon recycling container. With this program, you would still be allowed to set out 10 paper bags of yard waste, 3 bulky items, and for the bulky items, we would ask our residents to call Waste Management in advance. This would help Waste Management organize and schedule the pickups and also have the proper equipment and the manpower. It would also help us collect the data. So if we're providing the service every week, what does that look like down the road? Is it something that we're going to continue to provide every week? Is it twice a month, or is it monthly, or like other cities that provide this service quarterly? So as you recall, during the delays and cancellations earlier this year with the weather, the UG did make some social media posts about the services. And in that post, they used a photo of a cart. And these are some of the comments that were on Facebook with that photo. One of them says, "Why can't we get new trash cans like everybody else? My parents in Johnson County get new big trash and recycling ones every so often. Nothing ever here." So I know that a lot of folks do like to compare us to Johnson County, other cities around here. But if we bring it back to Wyandotte County, we can use Edwardsville as a great example. Edwardsville opted out of a manual trash collection. They went to a cart-based system, and I really encourage that everyone drive on a Tuesday on their trash day to see how clean, organized, and structured they have their service. I would like to also share that Bonner Springs is working with Waste Management on an agreement to begin this program in the summer. So you're probably asking yourself, what does this solve? I like to remind everyone, again, these are free containers provided by Waste Management. Not only will they provide the container, they'll also maintain them. So if it's lost or stolen or damaged, they'll replace them for free. So I'd like to take a minute to show you how much fits in these containers. The feedback that we've recently heard is that you're only going to limit to one trash bin. And let's see how much fits in the trash bin. You have one bag, two, three, four, five, six, seven. 7 bags of trash. So that means that you will have 7 bags recycling. So when you look at all the trash, when you look at all of the trash that's here combined, that would be 14 trash bags. So now you're just separating the items. You have 14 trash bags, 3 bulk items, 10 yard waste paper bags every week. So if you have that every week, that is a lot of trash. This program would also help the litter and the debris. It would be decreased. Something else I want to point out is that someone has recently asked about illegal dumping, that if we were to go to one cart, it would be a problem. Well, we have unlimited collection where you can set these items out on the curb and it's still a problem. Fewer weather delays. We would have, well, Waste Management would have one person to a truck. They wouldn't have to get out of the cab, and they would still be able to provide service when it's too hot or too cold. So I'll pass this over to John Blessing from Waste Management.
Hello, John Blessing with Waste Management. I've been asked to kind of explain the 2 pilot areas that we're looking to initiate this test service. So when we talk about a pilot program, just want to make sure that we all understand what that entails. We're not expecting success on day one, right? A pilot program is something that you roll out. We're already aware that we're likely going to face challenges. I can say that our operations team is already servicing every home in Wyandotte County already, or in Kansas City, Kansas today. So we're already very familiar with some of the challenges that we're going to get. But these 2 test areas or pilot areas are a great microcosm or combination of all of the types of challenges that we see throughout all of Kansas City, Kansas, from wide open neighborhoods, which have their own challenges, to compact neighborhoods, to on-street, off-street parking, you name it. We've made sure to include those types of areas in not only this, which is pilot area number 1, but also the next slide you'll see, which is pilot area number 2. And again, these are the areas where we believe we would be able to obtain the best data, because part of this program is to obtain the data as we do the test or pilot program. And that way we can come back to staff and say, you know, here's what we see on the street, here are the challenges we're having. And then, of course, there may be times when we need to reevaluate or pivot, make an adjustment, and ultimately craft the program that best fits the residents of Kansas City, Kansas. So that's pilot area number 1. And then this is pilot area number 2, and they are in completely different areas of the city. They, again, entail and encompass a lot of different types of challenges, from residential areas, commercial areas, heavy industrial areas, areas that have large highways. I mean, we tried to find every single thing in these 2 areas that would cause us a problem. That way, when we go through the pilot program and we come back with the data, we feel like we've had a good representation of the city as a whole.
And that concludes our presentation. If you have questions.
Commissioner Kane?
Jack wants to know where the beer cans are at in that trash. How long have you been working on this?
For almost 2 years.
And I'm surprised we haven't done it already. You know, and sir, I don't know you, but boy, you guys have pissed me off more than once. But I think this is the direction we need to go to solve some of those problems. You know, I wouldn't want to, my route people are phenomenal. I think this is a good idea. And then can you remind me how much it's going to cost Waste Management to do this?
From the last time we calculated, to cart the whole city would be close to 13 million.
Could you say that again?
Speak into the microphone.
Close to 13 million for the whole city.
Thank you. Commissioner Stites, then Commissioner Burns.
Stites, District 7. So I live in Edwardsville, and this program is in place right now. And I will tell you that it has made a world of difference in animals not getting into the trash, dragging them up and down the street, being able to, and so me, my brother lives in Edwardsville, and my folks live in Edwardsville. And we have yet to have more trash than these will use. And if you do, you just, go to your brother or your mom and dad and throw it in there. But it has really made a big difference. Yeah, on Tuesdays, they come, they pick it up. How long is the pilot program?
So the MOU that I think that there's action required on today states that we would initiate pilot area 1, and then within 6 months, initiate pilot area 2. I don't know, do we have a deadline on, I think that there's some flexibility on, as long as the pilot program needs to function for us to get to where we need to be. So there's some flexibility as far as that goes. Obviously, we would like to move through the pilot, come to a satisfactory level of service, and then roll it out to the entire city as soon as possible.
Because, most pilots have a start and a sunset, right? So you then you gather your data and know where, hey, was this successful? So will we get an update? Would that be what we would be receiving in 6 months, or if this is approved, that you'd come back to, I would assume, this committee or full commission, I don't know how you want to do it, but give us an update of how the feedback of how's it going?
That has been in our timeline. We would come back to the commission and give an update anywhere from 3 to 5 months after the first phase begins. And then notify you all if we are proceeding to the second phase.
Okay. And then the last thing that I'll say, and Commissioner Kane hit on it a little bit there. Waste management has been, I'll put it nicely, just a real pain in my backside because of the trash, the numerous calls that I've got over and over and over about their recycling not getting picked up, their trash not getting picked up. It goes for weeks on end, and then no call back. Nobody ever knows what's going on. They're all mad. They're paying for it. They've threatened to not pay their trash pickup because if they're not doing it, I'm not paying for it. With that being said, I beat you up enough, right? And I appreciate that we are looking at ways to make that go away, because everybody out there they are paying for it. They deserve to have their trash picked up in a timely manner. And I think that this is a good step moving forward. With that being said, does this help the process? If somebody was to get missed or something, could you tell us how that, what happens now? What would happen with this program?
So it would be the same. They would contact Waste Management. The resident has the option to call, use the app, or go onto the website. And Waste Management will get that directly without a middle person in there.
We recently made a change to the communication process, and that went off in February, where previously there was a black hole of communication, just to put it nicely. And a lot of times the same issue was reported multiple times. There was some miscommunication by the time it's like that grapevine story, right? By the time it got to us, some of the information had been altered. The way it works now, the residents contact Waste Management directly. So one of the advantages of this pilot program is the change of the vehicles. So today you probably see the very old style rear load trucks that service your communities. The new trucks that we put in have a lot of advantages to them. We call them the Waste Management Smart Trucks. They run on compressed natural gas. They're quieter, they're cleaner. But the exciting part about it is they have a suite of cameras around them. So when a resident can call in and they get a Waste Management representative on the phone, that Waste Management representative can pull the actual camera feed from a truck. So if someone says, hey, my trash wasn't picked up, while they're on the phone in real time, they can go back, they can pull the picture from that vehicle, and maybe that picture shows the truck in front of their house and there's no card out. So you can kind of say, well, looks like you might have missed your time. There could also be, it really helps with seeing infractions. I haven't seen this one in a long time, but it's been a while. A deer carcass in a trash can, which we're not allowed to collect. So there's the ability to not so much he said, she said, where you can actually provide concrete information on what happened. And then that representative can also track the GPS of the vehicle, and there's no hiding from that, right? So obviously when drivers make mistakes and they forget to go down a road for whatever reason, that is identifiable, and we can easily acknowledge that, apologize to the resident, and then they immediately put in a resolution ticket to get that customer serviced. Sometimes that happens on the same day while the trucks are still in service, and that can be resolved immediately. If not, it's handled the very next day.
So are you saying that if a resident observes that their trash didn't get picked up, that they'll be able to call a number and somebody will actually pick up the phone?
Actually, we've got a lot of ways to communicate. You don't necessarily need to use the phone, but yes. Yes.
Somebody can answer the phone.
Correct.
I need to know. Thank you.
Commissioner Burns?
Yeah, you put up a couple maps. The public doesn't know, if they're watching, what area you're talking about. What is the first pilot area, basically in number-wise?
The first pilot area is about 6,500 homes. The second pilot area, a little under 6,000 homes.
Okay, I'm asking, where is it at and what?
It would be north of State from 83rd and 86th to the west. And then the second phase would be 18th Street to the east, south of Metropolitan to County Line.
Okay. I represent Strawberry Hill. I don't think you're going to get those trucks on that truck on both sides to be able to pick it up. What do we tell those people?
We will be able to solve that problem.
Okay, well, they park on both sides like on Thompson.
So part of our engagement with city staff, I think it was the county administrator that brought up the fact that part of the data collection that we're going to do in this pilot program might present situations where the city needs to address ordinance changes or parking changes. And again, that came from the county administrator's office. But obviously, those are some of the things that this data collection and the test pilot area will bring to light.
I don't think that's going to go over very well. You know, I don't care what the administrator said. You know, it's up to us to decide. Maybe you haven't gone down there and looked at it. It's very, very narrow. You can barely get one car down. They're parking on both sides. That's where they live. I know what, I've seen your huge trucks over in Johnson County. I know what they do. I've seen it. I don't know that you can get how they're going to put their trash out with their cars in the same spot.
If we're servicing those areas today. So if there is an area where perhaps the bigger truck can't service, we would just use the same truck that we're using today that does.
Well, that answers my question.
Commissioner Lopez and then Ms. Gonzalez.
Okay, I have a couple questions for you. We're charged like $17 a month, I think, or something like that, for the trash. Is that correct?
1901.
Oh, 1901. Okay. Okay, now. And then, let's just say the pilot is a success and, or, you know, it goes through. So then what do we hit? Like, what are the residents charged for the carts? Even though it's free now, but after the pilot,
They won't
we at with that? Ever?
be
Ever?
until the end of the contract if we were to keep this program.
And that's 2030.
32.
32, yeah, okay. And then, so I have neighbors and friends and even family members that work for you. They're on your payroll. And do you guys have a daily quota on your recycling? Because they're telling me, hey, you know, because I asked him, I was like, well, you know, we're getting a percentage of people that, a low percentage of people that don't recycle. And he's like, yeah, because everything goes in the trash hole. Yeah, I don't know if you guys have like a daily recycle quota, like, okay, we have enough recycling for today, and then the rest is going to go in the trash hole.
Not at all. In fact, if you would ever like to come look at our recycling center, we need more volume. We have not hit capacity for our recycling center. So we're really encouraged that this program will increase the recycling participation and volume in what is the Kansas City Hauling's biggest customer, which is Kansas City, Kansas. So we are not approaching any type of limit or quota on recycling. And even if we were, the facility at the recycling center has storage capacity. So that would never be something that we would want to do.
Okay, yeah, because that's, I mean, I'm not in the truck with them, but yeah, that's what I've been told. And I'm like, okay, well, so again, you said 2032 is the, okay, so contract. 2032. So we're just charged 1901 and the free carts for till 2030.
Right now, the rate is 1901. Per our contract, Waste Management is able to raise the yearly fee or the fee every year per the contract for inflation. But for the carts, there will not be a cost to the resident or the UG.
Okay.
Really quick, if I can address your recycling concern as well. What we need to do also is educate.
Could you speak into your microphone,
Yes.
please? We can't hear you.
I like to address your recycling concern. What we would need to do in really even converting to the cart system is educate the public on recycling. We get a lot of recycling that is contaminated because they put items that are not accepted by Waste Management. So that is one thing. And the other thing I really wanted to remind everyone is that we want to eliminate putting as much as we can into the landfill because that landfill will one day be full. And what we want to do is make that not so soon, right? So that would help us as well.
I agree with it. Now, when you say contaminated, like, I understand the tire, things like that, paint, paint cans and whatnot, but if I'm throwing a box or like exactly what I see here is about what I would throw for recycling. But what would you call contaminated?
An example that we see is pizza boxes.
A pizza box?
Yes, so if it doesn't have any food or grease on it, you can recycle it, but if it has that, they will not accept that. What we also see is that people will put their recycling in bags because the bins that we have today don't have lids, so people want to avoid, that blowing out into the yard.
Okay, so let's just say right here is my recycle right here.
Mhm.
Is any of that you see right here contaminated?
Not from where I'm sitting, no.
Okay, now, let's just say this is my recycle. It's full of what you have here, but at the very top, I've got a pizza box. Now, does the whole thing go to the trash because the pizza box is in it?
So right now, the way, and even as we move forward, we're taking the recycling. So when we say it's contaminated, that's something that we have to deal with at our recycling center, right? So the truck comes by, they grab the recycling, they dump it. Now, these trucks, they do have cameras in the hopper. So we are able to capture pictures if we see obvious material that should not be in the recycling. You brought up a great one, plastic bags. This is the one things that you don't want in your recycling stream, mainly because they act like rubber bands, right? And they just get tangled up in all the equipment. So we can capture that video and we can send something to that resident because we'll know exactly whose house we were at. And we can say, hey, a nice reminder, please don't put plastic bags in your recycling. But when you say contaminated, like we don't necessarily know that it's contaminated until it gets to our recycling center. And then we've got all of this machinery that separates out the contamination. And we just judge it based off of a percentage of what we bring in that's contaminated. And we're just working to get that percentage as small as possible. We know that if we can educate the residents, because this is really where it's generated, then we can eliminate that contamination. But specifically, like I wouldn't necessarily, or we wouldn't necessarily know your container at your house had the contamination, necessarily and something like that. We just want to get rid of it, no matter who's putting it in the stream, because when it gets to the recycling center, it breaks the equipment, or it damages other material. So if we've got cardboard in this and maybe one of those jugs is full of milk, well, that jug's going to break open. That milk's going to go everywhere. It's going to get all over the cardboard. And now all that cardboard is ruined. So the recycling that we take back has a value to it, but the more it gets contaminated, by the time we run it through our processing and it's got milk or whatever else on it, it's in essence trash. And we spent all that money to process trash. And then, that goes to the landfill. So the goal with the education is just to get people to understand, wash out your stuff, empty all the fluids out. We don't want food or grease in your containers and things like that. So that's really the goal of the contamination education, is just to reduce what we're bringing in that really isn't recyclable.
Okay, so you got boys sitting over there at and they're sifting through as it comes in?
It's a combination of people and automation.
I got you. Okay. And that's good to know. The pizza box thing that had, because I think when we eat pizza here, we throw the pizza boxes in a recycle box. So I have to, wow, that's.
And again, if a lot of the pizza companies nowadays have actually evolved, they'll put the little cardboard circle and then the pizza on top of that. And so that's really what is trash. And then the box itself is normally okay. It's just really has to, how clumsy was your delivery guy, right? Did the pizza go everywhere? Is there food all over the box? If it's a clean box, we'll take it.
So is it the vegetable oil that you don't want that's on the pizza box?
Really anything that's not just true cardboard. I mean, because it's going to be recycled into new cardboard or new paper products. So any foreign debris on it, that especially when it's saturated, because you can't get that out of the cardboard.
I mean, my cardboard usually is just kindling for the fireplace anyway, but okay. All right, thank you.
Mrs. Gonzalez.
Just had a few questions because the BPU bills for trash service. So I also get a lot of calls about this, and just an observation when you put the new app, and I would usually just call 311, and then when you put the new app or the new, we had a the situation that our recycling hadn't been picked up for, I don't know, a lot of weeks. And so I actually called and someone else used the app. I live in a circle of about 12 houses. And they came and picked up mine and the other man that called, but didn't pick up the rest of them. So, but it was early on with your new app and calling. It hasn't happened since, but they did respond. They just didn't respond to the whole neighborhood. But I'll be pleased to not get as many calls as I do.
Any other questions or comments? I have one. On the map, you showed out to 138th Street. I believe Bonner goes to 142nd. Is that not correct, Commissioner Stites? Oh, this doesn't include Bonner. I thought I seen 138th Street on there.
No, it does not include Bonner.
Okay. If there's no other questions, any other questions? Seeing none. I'll ask clerk if there are any comments received from the public.
No comments were received.
I'll ask clerk if anyone online wishes to speak to this item.
There are no hands raised.
Is there anyone present who would care to speak to this item? Please come forward and state your name and address, and you'll be given 3 minutes to make your comment. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Nancy Zelke. I live at 12421 Hollingsworth Road in KCK. I am the chair of the Solid Waste Management Committee. The primary role of the 11-member committee is to, first of all, approve the solid waste management plan, as well as to annually review the plan and the results. Diana is right. The committee, the Solid Waste Management Committee, she's wrong here. We've been looking at this for 2 years as it relates to one of the priorities that's in the solid waste plan that the Board of Commissioners approved in May of 2022. As your advisory committee, several things that we looked at. First of all, it was said once, I'm going to say it again. We asked staff this on numerous occasions. What is the cost of this program to the unified government as well as to the residential? There is no cost in the current rate structure for this program. The containers themselves, as Diana had presented, that cost of $13 million for the residential households is going to be borne by Waste Management. Secondly, we worked with staff over the past several meetings to talk about measures of how is staff going to measure and monitor the success of the program. So data they can bring back to the standing committee to bring to the committee as a whole. So we provided back to Public Works last week a pretty long laundry list of data that they will be gathering along with Waste Management. Some examples of that would be, the success in reducing the amount of refuge that's going into the work stream. To take a look at hopefully the increase in the amount of recycling that's occurring, number of calls, number of missed locations, as well as this whole kind of area as it relates to bulk items. Staff explained what the proposal would be, but monitoring that, especially as we take a look at moving into the other areas of the county. Yeah. The third item we talked about with the staff is communication education. It is so important that Public Works kind of be able to take this to the next step, because there's going to have to be information that's provided to our residents, whether that's through town hall meetings, neighborhood meetings, inserts in the BPU bill, as well as even direct mailings to our residents, so they're informed as well as educated what about the new process, as well as education of what recycling really means. And then finally, I think the committee last week when we met, we're very excited about this initiative. The members that were present hardly endorsed the concept and are recommending that this committee and the commission as a whole hopefully approve the memorandum of understanding. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Zelke. Will you stand for questions? Commissioner Burns?
Mrs. Zelke, when and how are the first pilot area going to be notified? In other words, how is it going to be by mail? Is it going to be by going door to door?
I'll let Diana answer that, but I think it's going to be a combination of three things. One will be a direct mailing that will occur. You know, secondly, I think they have planned different town hall, I call them town hall meetings, but neighborhood meetings to inform the public, as well as, you know, I really recommend even your UGTV. All, you know, any way we can reach the residents, especially our senior citizens, because it's so important to make sure that whatever our method is, we're communicating to them as well.
So that is correct. We would also try to insert something into the BPU bill. Waste Management is offering to send a postcard to each phase. They would cover that. We would work with the Neighborhood Resource Center to notify the residents through Livable Neighborhoods. So in any social media outlets, we would really work to reach all the residents and with the help of the commission as well for those areas.
Any other questions? Ms. Zelke, thank you for two things. One, chairing the Waste Management Committee. Thank you for the time and commitment you gave that. It was very important for this community and very important to staff that we had somebody with the guidance that you provided for the committee. So thank you for that, and thank you for being here tonight to testify on behalf of the committee. Commissioner Lopez.
So, the pilot here, it doesn't show the Turner area either. We just keep putting our trash out as normal, I guess. I'm sorry, get a little closer here. I guess we just put our trash out as normal, and then if it is a success, then the Turner area and all that will be notified just like that. And we'll have, okay, great.
If there's no other questions, no one else from the public care to speak to this item? Let the record show that Mrs. Zelke was the only one that appeared before us. Thank you. That takes this to the motion. Committee's wish?
Kane, move for approval.
Gonzalez, second.
We have a motion and a second for the approval of the memorandum of understanding with Ball Industries Incorporated doing business as Waste Management. Madam Clerk, please call roll.
Roll call. Gonzalez.
Aye.
Lopez.
Aye.
Burns.
No.
Stites. Kane. Burrows.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you, committee. That takes us to our final item of the evening. Yeah, we could set that out. Will Waste Management pick it up tomorrow?
Oh, yeah.
Committee, our final action or final item this evening is a report on the early learning driver training program. And I see that Troy Shaw was supposed to be here, but I believe we have Jeff Miles will be giving the opening comments tonight. Jeff, welcome, and please know that you're the final agenda item this evening.
Yep. Yes, sir. And I'll make it as quick as I can with all due respect to the great employees that I'm going to brag about here. So I do promise I'm not going to tip anything over up here either. So again, my name is Jeff Miles. I'm the Director of Environmental Services. Tonight is just purely educational. To give you an update, if you can remember back in 2022, we came to you guys and explained a new program that we were unveiling internally. And I want to give you a little bit of background of why it's so important. And the team here, and I'm going to introduce them, has done such a great job. But in early 2022, the federal government implemented another layer of training to get your CDL. As you know, we have commercial drivers that drive anything from a transit bus to combination sewer machines to plow trucks, you name it, that's required a CDL. How it was handled before is they come in, they have a certain time to get their CDL with not much of assistance. The DMV, not only for us, but for all people going to take their CDL, struggled passing the test. The DMV has seen a very high level of failures, and it was clogging up the system of people trying to go get CDL. So they implemented a new layer of training called ELDT, Early Learner Driving Training. Now, in 2022, when this happened, that was scary to us because when we jumped in, we talked to some of the neighboring cities, we did not have that budgeted to do this. Sending one of our drivers or a potential driver to a truck driving school would cost $6,000 a driver, and we would lose them for 2 months to do that. And they're really not training in the type of equipment that we want to train them in. We want them to train them in the vehicle they'll most likely be driving, snowplow trucks, sewer machines, things like that. So one of the things that we did is we reached out to one local municipality that had already got about a month or two ahead of us of starting an internal program, and that was the city of Olathe. We took a field trip out to the city of Olathe. Again, there's no reason to reinvent the wheel. Let's see what they're doing and how we can modify that to our operation. And we did. We took some of their ideas, and the team here, which I'm going to introduce now, a few of them here. I know there's one that's out, but Russ Owens, he's our fleet manager. He had to leave. He had an appointment, but he was here earlier. We got Randy Han to my right. Here he's the assistant service manager. We got Nod Ellis in the back of the room. He's part of the fleet team along with Roy Mortel. And then we've got Tarina Lopez that's on this committee, and she's out for a personal situation from work. But we definitely appreciate her as well. We have Shad Hampton, that's part of Parks and the abatement team. We've got Irvin Jackson here as well from Transit, and we've got Conrad Vega that was part of Fleet, that's now part of Environmental Services. So this group here formed what we call the ELDT program. And we went from a $6,000 potential charge per driver to $109 per driver. And it allowed us to do this training inside the unified government versus sending somebody outside to do that type of training. So really the great thing is it's multi-service because, so the first layer is when we recruit. As you guys know, we have a lot of challenges when it comes to recruitment. So we want to create as many opportunities internally to attract people to come to the unified government and work. So that we use that as a big tool. But those team members that apply for the different divisions, departments, go to work for those division departments, and then they have a point person. And as I just named a lot of the names, you'll see they're from different departments and divisions. That's kind of their point person. They go through a training modulars of what they do, and we set them down within the first, what is it, a week or so, Randy?
Yeah, it's about a week.
Yeah, first week, along with all the other onboarding that we do for new employees with HR's help. And we have them go through these modules, and they can't advance until they finish the modules. Then they go to the next one. You have to go fully through the modular, through this ELD program before that qualifies you to now go to the DMV. And we're really proud to say they shared these numbers with me earlier today. So I'm giving them 100% of this credit because they've done a good job, great job. Shouldn't say good job, but they've had a 99.9% success rate through our program, internal program. And they're very quick to clarify that the ones that 0.01 that didn't, those are ones that maybe took other opportunities and left before they finished the ELD. That's the only reason that they failed. They go and pass the test, they come back, there's walk around training. We take somebody from each of the divisions and they ride shotgun with them and let them get some steering wheel time. Well, so it prepares them to go take the driver portion of the test as well. We've had a very high success ratio there as well. The whole program nationwide has worked very well. But I think when they implemented this program, they really didn't think of municipalities. We're really a small percentage of CDL drivers. They were looking at truck drivers is what they were looking at. And we didn't really want to invest $6,000 a driver to go learn how to drive a over-the-road truck. We want them to drive snowplows and things like that. So tonight was just simply to come here after a couple years of doing this and really to brag about some great work. This was a total savings of $646,600 in savings that of course, that goes right back to other efficiencies that we can do within our government. Yes, absolutely. Everybody that's part of the committee, if you please stand up. Let's give them a round of applause. If I have any questions for that, again, I just wanted to come and give them kudos because they're doing this, the type of thinking, obviously, you guys always influence us to do is think outside the box. How can we save money? Let's do it in-house versus out of house. And that's exactly what all these team members done.
Commissioner Kane.
I love it. And I think that's what we're supposed to do. You know, I worked on a joint program at General Motors 21 years, and that's exactly what we did. We took the skills that the folks had in the field, and I don't want to say took the management people, but we took the salary people and we trained them to think like us. And I think that's important. And the amount of money that you guys saved is unbelievable, and we appreciate it.
I want to add, so remember, this was never budgeted for at all, period. So this would have been an expense that we wouldn't have had no money for. And we've done from 680,000 down to 600, then saved 646,000 by doing it ourselves and in-house. And with the success rate that these men and women have put that forth, they've just rocked it. I mean, you know, we didn't have to get a whole new budget line for it or anything like that. And we offer it to everyone.
Yeah. One last thing, I'll echo them. When you do send them off that truck driver school, you lose them for 2 months. So they're not here to sweep floors and do other odds that we might have them doing, you know, and help out team members. We've lost them. They go off to a truck driving school, and some cities have implemented that. That was their easiest path versus doing it internally. And again, this crew done it internally.
Tremendous program, tremendous initiative. Commissioner Lopez.
I love it too. This is how I learned. I was electrical lineman for Power Electric. I'm just savage cowboy, and there's, you know, and the way I was learning was smacked in the arm or smacked inside the head, said, hey, you're doing this wrong. But it's how you learn. But I'm saying this, what you guys are doing. But also, do you guys have to keep a logbook okay, or you do or you don't? You do?
Talking about a driving logbook.
No, I mean, like, no, like our commercial truck, I think like the F-350s and 250s are still considered commercial, I think. In my line of work, they are. But in city, you don't have to keep a logbook? Because I know that, I might have to look into that, because if there's an accident or something, that's DOT is going to look at that. Do you guys ever deal with DOT at all?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we have DOT come in and do training for us as well and double check our program. They're the one of them that gave us the thumbs up what we're doing. But every city, including even BPU, they don't use logbooks. They're not required. If you use a logbook, if you cross the state line or if you travel outside of a 100-mile radius, a logbook's required. But internally, as long as we stay within our government. Now, if we had the question that, if we have a team member maybe going to a manufacturing facility to deliver a vehicle or pick some up, say like in Chicago, by all means, they'd need DOT numbers as well as a logbook on their way back, because that's going across state lines.
Right. Now, what's crazy is this is what's kind of nuts is I cross into state lines because in Kansas, Missouri. Well, DOT's telling me that I can drive 10 hours or work 10 hours. But as soon as I cross into Kansas, now it's 20 hours. And I'm like, well, that just throws your whole safety issue right out the window.
But how we police the hours of what the drivers work is when they clock in and clock out.
Mm-hmm.
If we ever were audited for any type of reasons, for instance, during snow removal, for instance, they implemented a program that, they just changed a few years ago. I've seen our street manager in the back of the room, and he's helped us understand this. We only keep them for a certain window of working behind the steering wheel versus pushing them to work longer than that. And we follow that time clock, and when they clocked in or out, if anything ever happened, while they're behind the wheel, that's all that data is available to them. And if you don't mind, I'll add one more thing, and I forgot there's a value here. When we implemented the program, we didn't want to implement it just for the unified government. We wanted it to be a value to our unified partners, Edwardsville and Bonner as well. So this program is available to both of them. We've had some entry. We have not sent anybody through, but that is open to them. And since we started the program, we've actually internally, we've helped gun or hand, actually get a CDL, and that's not for him to go out and offer assistance but if a major situation happened within our community and we needed emergency drivers, we know we got one in the batter's box there. We also did a couple of police officers within KCK PD that wanted to get their CDLs for unified government work. Some of the things that they're working around, they wanted to understand that and went through the program as well. So we offer that to anybody really within the government.
So I got my Class A back in 97, I think it was. Is Kansas still, is this still pretty easy? Because when I did my walk around, the guy was like, you didn't get everything, walk around it again. And then he stopped me and said, okay, you're good. But the guys that worked for PAR that lived in Missouri had to get their CDL through Missouri. They were very strict.
With the CDL program, it's the same across the country. It should, if you go to each DMV, should be the very similar testing. I mean, obviously they change the questions around, the same type of walk around. And it's one of the challenges that we do have is, obviously you have a lot of experience around heavy equipment, driving trucks, growing up around it. We do hire team members that have no experience whatsoever around a big truck, and it's pretty intimidating to drive one of these. So it's a perfect situation to give. Randy and the team does a lot of the walk around training to look at lug nuts, tires, drive shafts, everything that they do to go around them. So if we see that they're uncomfortable in that arena, that gives them an option, say, hey, come back tomorrow. We're going to do this again before we send you up to DMV to take your test.
Right. And now, what about your air tanks in the winter? Are you showing them how to drain the air tanks so they're not freezing up the air brake? Because that's the worst. It's cold in your truck, your brakes are all frozen, you're not building air, and then you got to break the line and pour this. Oh, and it's freezing cold. Yeah.
Yeah, they drain them as well as the air dryers that we have. We order in all the trucks to help with that.
Mhm.
2 years that I've been with the unified government, I think we had one freeze. So.
That's good. Yeah.
Good job.
I'd just like to say, Mr. Moss, thank you. Recognizing these people or bringing them here to recognize them, because a lot of times, just regular old residents, we don't see the face behind that snowplow that we've been waiting for. And
Thank you. Thank you.
Seeing no other questions or comments, I will ask the clerk if there were any comments received from the public.
No comments were received.
Are there any questions online?
No hands are raised.
Anybody public wish to speak to this comment present this evening? Let the record show no one stepped forward. Thank you. Committee, this was for information only. I want to thank our conferees that were here this evening and presented to the committee. I would entertain a motion to adjourn. Oh, I'm sorry. Before we adjourn, I know Commissioner Burns had a question for Troy Shaw, if Troy is still here. Thank you, Troy. Commissioner, please, and I apologize for forgetting that you wanted a question.
Troy, many people have been asking me, and I don't know the answer to it. When in the heck is the stuff outside City Hall going to be cleaned up and done of the repairs?
The construction,
Yes.
I don't know. I'll have to check with John Kelly. Building and logistics is no longer part of Public Works. So John Kelly would be the one to ask about that. I can get you the answer though. I can
I
talk
can
to
call
John tomorrow.
John.
Okay, either way.
I mean,
You want-
it's gone on way too long. So I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
No, that's
I
fine.
forgot that was split out from you. But I thought you may have known.
No, not off the top of my head, sorry.
Thank you, everyone. Committee, thank you for your work this evening. I'd entertain a motion for adjournment.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please call roll. We have a motion second for adjournment.
Roll call. Gonzalez, Lopez,
I'm proud of you guys. Aye.
Burns,
Aye.
Stites, Kane, Burrows.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Good night. Thank you, everyone.